Welcome to the Short Men Only podcast with your host, me, Jalal Wilson. What's going on with everybody today? This is a beautiful day. Why is it a beautiful day, you may ask? Well, it's the first episode of Men Only podcast, so that's what makes it a beautiful day. We finally getting started. And I wanted to talk, I wanted to come on here and kind of give a why I felt this was necessary, why it was time to do the Short Men Only podcast. All right. One of the reasons why I was looking around and I was thinking about my own life growing up being short. And to get this out the way, I am 5'4". And so I've thought a lot about this and had different situations surrounding my height growing up. But that is not the reason why I decided to start this. I decided to start this because I am concerned. I am concerned for short men. I am concerned for men in general. Why am I concerned? Right now, we have some things going on in society. Men are 5 times more likely to commit suicide. And right now, we have such polarizing views on things like social media. And what we are seeing is that this is affecting a lot of men. And so I think it was worth having a conversation, worth starting a podcast over so we can talk about these things. I have a TikTok and it's called Short Men Nation, which is the brand. The Short Men Only is the podcast, but Short Man Nation is the brand. And one of the things I seen on my social media, on my TikTok, on my Instagram, is a lot of men struggling with self-esteem issues, struggling with how to approach women, struggling with, things like dressing, knowing what to wear, knowing what to put on for the day, and knowing how to communicate. And what I'm also seeing is in these comments and reading just different posts and different things, there is such a lack of just feeling defeated among short men. And I know that's not all of them, but there is enough for me to feel like we need to start having these conversations because I care for all my short brethren and I want them all of you to live fabulous, whole, full lives. But to do that, we're going to have to get rid of some of this negative self-talk. We're going to have to start feeling confident in who we are. And we're going to have to start making some changes. And so that's where I felt like, you know what? We've got to start this podcast. It's something that needs to be done. And I tried not to do it. And you're like, what? What do you mean you tried not to do it? I literally tried not to do this. I tried to do anything but this. But when I was trying to do all these other things, like I started a whole nother podcast and it was called Action Only Podcast. And what I was doing was just interviewing people who were taking action in their lives. And the reason why I started that podcast because I knew a lot of people were taking action in their lives. And so it would be easy for me to get guests. And then I'm just like, yeah, I can blow that podcast up. But all of the reasons I wanted to blow that podcast up and wanted to do all these different things was to avoid having to do this podcast. And you're like, why were you trying to avoid it? Because this is not the podcast that will resonate with the audience that I already have. See, this is the podcast where I have to put myself out there I have to basically hope people find me through my efforts to advertise the podcast and different things like that. This is not a ready built in audience for this podcast. And so in my heart, I want to do the easy route, like most of us. I wanted to go the easy route. Like, look, let me just do a podcast that already fits, 99% of my audience, because we're all trying to take action in our lives in some area. So it's a pretty safe play. And I do think I could have got enough guests to really grow that. But no, 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 no. I couldn't just do that. No. I had to come back and do the complex thing, the thing where I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this, right? I had to come back and do that thing. And I was sitting here. This is actually the third day that I have tried to record this episode. I've been in here the first day. I just had nothing. I sat there and I sat here and I sat here. And I just literally had nothing to say. Even though before I walked in, I had plenty to say. But something about sitting down in the chair and needing words to come out is intimidating because nothing was coming out. I saw this quote. Before I came in that day, I watched this video by Alex Hormozi. And he talked about why most people never achieve their dreams. And he said that we can't hang in and put up with the discomfort of the moment in the short term. So because we can't handle the discomfort in the short term, we end up robbing ourselves of the good that we can have in the long term. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, so just to be clear. But that resonated with me. So even though I didn't have anything to say, I sat here. I sat here and I sat here until the time that I said I was scheduled for was up. Then once it was up, I got up and I left. And I thought about why I didn't say anything. And what I realized is I tried to come off in here to, I'm going to teach short men everything. And I'm going to just, But what I realized is I needed to do was share first. Share my heart. Share my vision for Short Men Nation before I get in here trying to tell anybody anything. And when I share my heart and my vision, then, my goal is that it encourages you to come along for the journey. Because this will be a journey. And I hope that this encourages you to come along with me on that journey. Now, I want to talk about what qualifies me to do a podcast like Short Men Nation. And I think I said Short Men Nation, I meant Short Men Only. But what qualifies me is, as I stated before, I am 5'4". Growing up, I had what some would call the trifecta. Actually, not some. It's what I would call the trifecta. And you're like, what is the trifecta? I had crooked teeth. My teeth were so crooked. Some went this way, some went that way, one just said, I'm a buck the trend and go up. He went up in my gums. So I had terrible teeth. After that, besides that, no, that wasn't enough. I was short. Okay, cool. That wasn't enough. I had glasses so big I could fry any type of insect, maybe even a lizard. If it was a nice sized lizard, he might have got it too. That's how big and thick my glasses were. And so you can imagine, all the times that I was made fun of growing up. But what always surprised me was people would always, when you had all these things that you could choose from, the first thing people usually went for was my height, then my teeth, and then my glasses. Yep. Or sometimes it'd be glasses, height, teeth. It just depends on the person and how often they got this opportunity to let me know. And so there was I grew up with insecurities around my height. I grew up with insecurities around the way I look. And I grew up with insecurities just in general, just from being made fun of for so long. And it took me a long time to overcome a lot of that. But because there was some things I didn't understand about that I understand now. And that is why I want to be able to help short men not waste as much time as I did trying to figure out, myself, like who I am, what I'm about, all of these things, right? Because when you don't take as long to figure those things out, it gives you more time to work on the things that will move your life forward. It took me 20 years to get to the real bottom of things. That saying that we really don't, until we take the time to take a step back and assess the situation, we really don't know how much damage is done. That's almost like, if you've ever been in a car accident. So they take pictures of the damage they can see. But you really never know the extent of the damage until they take it in the auto shop and they start moving this piece and that piece, and that's when they can see the frame may have been bent, or there's something else, because of the impact of the accident, it may have pushed the hood back. And then when the hood got pushed back, it pushed some pieces of the engine back. But these are the things you can't tell at first glance. And see, what I was doing was trying to work on everything that was surface level. But until I decided to peel back those layers and look at what is going on underneath, that is where the peace came from, the being able to see myself differently. And so I want to help other short men who are struggling right now to see their value, to see what they could be if they gave themselves an opportunity to be. I want them to see that, you are enough. Even on the days people don't see you. I know one of the things I felt as a short man was that feeling of feeling like I'm invisible. I mean, that is one of the worst feelings ever, to just feel like you're invisible when you're standing there. But because you're not this height, or people don't see you because you don't look this whatever, and they can't see you. That was one of the hardest things for me. And I know there's a lot of short men out here now that just are feeling unseen, like nobody cares, like nobody is there for you, or nobody values you. But I'm here to tell you that this podcast is for you, because I care, I value you, and I want the best for you. But we got to peel away some of them layers so we can get to it. And to do that, we're going to have some tough conversations. We're going to have to talk about some strategies. We're going to have to bring on experts to help us in all different areas of life. We're going to have to learn how to become self-confident. We're going to have to try new things. We're going to have to break out a journal. We're going to have to do some things differently. That is the bottom line. And it is important for me to provide a safe space that is only catered to short men so we can make these things happen. That is what Short Men Only is about. Now, one of the things I always think is important to say is with short men, we are not against tall men. We're not against women. We're not against anybody. We are worried about working on ourselves, seeing ourselves differently. So we don't have time to be hating on other groups or, tall dudes. We don't have time for that. Because at the end of the day, have you ever heard the saying, same shit, different diaper? That is what we have. All men go through most of the same issues, generally the same issues. So we don't have time to be hating on them. We're too busy going to be working and getting ourselves to the place that we need to be so that we can live the full lives that we deserve. So we won't be hating on no other group. I always think that it gets us nowhere. It's not helpful. And we can do better than that. So we will not be doing that on this podcast. And also, one of the first things that we will have to do is understand that we are not victims. Like, we are the height that we are supposed to be. Whether you believe it or not, you are the height you are supposed to be. And so we can't see ourselves as a victim for something that we have no ability to change. We have to accept that this is the height that God saw fit to have us be. And now, with the height you have, it's up to you to do what you came here to do. Find your purpose. And I know this, we're going to talk more about that another day, because there's a lot that goes with talking about the word purpose. But the idea here is just that you are the height you need to be, and you're exactly where you need to be for you to take steps going to where you want to be. And I know that there's a lot of this just sounds like stuff we've already heard. And I agree. A lot of this won't be new. But it will be coming from a lens of someone who is exactly like you, who has had all the struggles you can have around your height, around loving yourself, all of that. I was angry for a very long time. A good portion of my life, I was just an angry, angry man. And I know some of you are angry. I know some of you are still dealing with what someone once said about you, and it's still affecting how you see yourself going forward in the future. But the only way that we are going to change that and be able to let go of those things is to start facing them. And so that's what we're going to do on this podcast. We're going to start facing these things. We're going to start taking them head on so that we can move forward and become the best versions of ourselves. So we are not victims. We are on the road to victory, baby. And I am glad that you all are listening to me and you are going on this journey with me. Because we're a brotherhood. And we're going to act like one. And I'm here to support this brotherhood. I'm here to help us grow. because that's what it's all about. It's getting over, learning. It's getting over things, and then being able to reach back to somebody else and helping them through it. And my short brothers, I am with you. And this is Jalal Wilson with the Short Men Only podcast. Down in the link below, sign up to the email list. I'm going to be sending out weekly encouragement, and I don't want you to miss any. I don't want you to miss any at all. All right? And there will be more details to come. We're gonna I got so many things coming down the pipe for us that I just think is gonna be, amazing. But I will be honest, a lot of this I don't know how to do yet. So I'll be leaning on you, the community. If you want to help Short Men grow, Short Men podcast grow, if you want to help Short Men Nation grow, get in the comments. Let me know what your skills are and your abilities and how you want to partake in helping us grow. Because I like what Jack Canfield says. Everything that you want is on the other side of fear. Everything I want. I don't know how to do so much of this, but I know what's on the other side of my fear of not knowing, my fear of being scared, my fear of not having the audience already for this. I know everything that I want is on the other side of overcoming the fear of all of those things. And I hope that's what you take away from this first Short Men Only podcast, because we here, baby, and it's go time.